Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be graphing inequations, right? We're going to be sketching inequations on the coordinate plane as well as on the number line, right? To show how. So, if remember inequations can be any one of these. So it can actually be not equal to with the line drawn across, the equal sign, less than or equal to, less than, greater than or equal to, greater than. Alright, so if we're expressing them on the coordinate plane or the graph with the x and y axes, right, what we do is, if it is just greater than, or if it is just less than, we use a dotted line. We use a dotted line, and I'll show you in a minute. And we shade, if it's greater than, we shade to the right of the dotted line. Less than, we shade to the left of the dotted line. If it is greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, instead of the dotted line, we put a straight line, unbroken line. So that is for the coordinates plane with the x and y axis. If we're showing them on the number line, if they are just greater than, we're going to put a circle over that number and an arrow to the right. If it's less than, we put the circle and an arrow to the left. And if it's greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, we shade within the circle. Right? So let's do practice. When we actually do it, you see what I'm talking about. So all of these I'm going to be expressing, right? So let me just quickly put in my arrows to indicate, right? Don't leave out your arrows. Because these axes continue indefinitely. So that's what the arrows indicate. That the axes continue indefinitely. And I'm also going to be naming my axes on the coordinate plane. So I'm going to name my axis. So you know this is the x-axis, y-axis, right? So let me just put those in. X-axis, y-axis, x, so we say, now I'm going to do the coordinate plane and the number line for these. So let's start with those. So we're saying x is greater than 5. Give me a minute, please. Okay. X is greater than 5. So remember we're saying if we're doing it on the coordinate plane, we're going to put, if it's just greater than, we're going to put a dotted line or a broken line. So we just indicate somewhere where 5 would be. You don't actually have to be numbering the 1, 2, or -1. You'd have to be numbering the axes. You're just sketching. You can if you want to, right? But we're just sketching. So we just put a 5 to indicate where x would be 5. And then a broken line through that 5. And since it's greater than, we're going to shade to the right of that broken line. So that's x is greater than 5. On the number line, again, so that's 0. 5 would be about there. So we just put a circle to indicate where 5 is and an arrow to indicate that is greater than. We're not going to shade the circle because it's just greater than. If it was greater than or equal to, then we would shade in the circle. Alright, so this is for greater than. Let's look at greater than or equal to. So once it has a greater than or equal to, you're not going to put a broken line this time. You're going to put an unbroken line, a straight line. So we still mark where 5 is. Straight line down and shade to the right. On the number line, so this is 0, still put a mark where 5 is. Put your circle and your arrow to the right because it's greater than, and we shade inside the circle. We shade inside the circle to indicate that it's greater than or equal to. So you see the difference between when it's just greater than and when it's greater than or equal to. When it's just greater than, broken line, empty circle, unshaded. Greater than or equal to, straight line, unbroken line, and shaded circle. And it's the same principle for less than and less than or equal to. So if it's just less than 5, so here is 5. It's less than, so it's a broken line. And we're going to shade to the left because it's less than. On the number line, we're going to indicate where 5 is, put a circle, and the arrow goes to the left because it's less than, but we're not going to shade the circle. It's an empty circle. For x is greater than or equal to 5, I remember these are x's, so the line is cutting through the x-axis, right? When we're doing the y, you're going to see the line will cut the y-axis. So all of these are x, we're focusing on the x-axis. Alright, so for x is less than or equal to 5, so again here is 5. Less than or equal to, so it's a straight line. It's not broken. And we shade to the left because it's less. On the number line, we have our 5. Arrow to the left because it's less. But because it's less than or equal to, we shade inside there. Alright, you get the drift, you get in the pattern. Okay, so let's indicate now, these are where we have the inequation, the coordinates falls between two inequations. It's the same principle though. So this is saying x is greater than -4 and x is also less than or equal to 2. So we need to indicate two places, the 2 and the -4. It's greater than -4, so that's a broken line. It's just greater than -4. But it's less than or equal to 2, so straight line down from the 2. And then we're going to shade in between. It falls in between. Right? X is greater than or equal to 1, less than 7. So we have our 0, we have 1, we have 7. It's greater than or equal to 1, so straight line through the 1. And it's less than 7, so broken line, and we shade in between. So that's 0. Okay, now, so let's show x is greater than or equal to -3, less than or equal to 4. So we need to put in -3 and 4. It's greater than or equal to -3, so that would be straight line, less than or equal to 4, also straight line. Alright, and that's how we do it. Okay? X is greater than -2, less than or equal to -3. So we have -2, 3, It's just greater than negative 2, so that's a broken line. Less than or equal to 3, so that's unbroken. And we just shade in between. Here now we're talking about y. Y is less than 6. So we're focusing on the y-axis. So on the y-axis, 6 will be about there, and that's 0. It's just less than, so that's a broken line. When we're dealing with the y-axis and it's less than, we shade below the line. So if it was the x-axis and it's less than, we shade to the left, greater than to the right. For the y-axis, if it's less than, we shade below, and greater than, we shade above. So for this now, y is greater than or equal to negative 4. When we identify our negative 4, since it's greater than or equal to, that would be an unbroken line, and we shade, it's y. It's y. So this is negative 4 on the y right here. So it's unbroken. And since it's greater than or equal to, we're going to shade above that line. Okay? Alright. So let's do some where it falls between the number line. So for example, negative 4 greater than x less than or equal to 2. I'm going to do 2 of them for the number line. So that's 0. And 1 greater than or equal to x less than 7. Okay. So x is greater than negative 4, less than or equal to 2. On the number line, that's negative 4, that's 2. So we would have our circle there. This is just less than, so we're not going to shade. This is less than or equal to, so we're going to shade this one. And connect them. And so we have 1 and 7 is greater than or equal to 1, but just less than 7. Okay? Alright, so that's how we would do that. So if it's the number line, you draw your circles above. If it's just greater than or just less than, you don't shade the circle. Just put an arrow to the right for greater than, to the left for less than. If it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, you shade within the circle. On the coordinates plane, on the xy axis, if it's just greater than or just less than, use a broken line, dotted line. Shade to the right for greater than, to the left of the dotted line for less than. And if it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, it's a straight line through the point. And remember, for the y's, find where that number is on the y-axis, not on the x-axis, right? So look whether it's x or y, that's important. On the y-axis, if it's less than, you shade down, greater than, you shade above the line. Less than below, greater than above the line. Okay? So that's it for plotting linear inequations on the graph, the coordinate plane, and on the number line. If you have benefited, just drop a line to say thank you, and let me know if you want me to do a video on any particular topic, right? If you have not subscribed, do so now. And please share this video with other students, your friends, neighbors, classmates, siblings, cousins, grandma, grandpa. Share it with everybody so we can all benefit. Alright, so thank you, scholars. I'll see you in the next video.